The information is presented for educational purposes only, is not intended to diagnose or prescribe for any medical or psychological condition, or to prevent, treat, mitigate, or cure such conditions. This information is only presented herein for entertainment and educational purposes only. Hi, I'm David DeHaas of Living Waters Wellness Center, and welcome to the Whole Body Detox Show. I'm your host today. Living Waters Wellness Center is a Treasure Valley's largest colon hydrotherapy center and best known for our 10-day cleanse and healing retreat. To learn more about colon hydrotherapy and detoxifying the body, go to livingwaterscleanse.com. Watch the webinar, The 4 Natural Laws of Healing. I was once a medical refugee seeking out how to heal my body. By the age of 30, I was suffering from numerous symptoms, including allergies, severe fatigue, constipation, brain fog, joint pain, back pain, psoriasis, acne, and eventually cancer. I spent about 20 years learning how to heal my body. Now I teach others how they can recover using the 4 natural laws of healing. Each week, we bring you the information you need to discern how you can heal your body. Welcome to the show. I'm David DeHaas here, Living Waters. Today, I am quite honored to have our special guest today, Ellen Tart-Jensen, Dr. Ellen Tart-Jensen, PhD. And just a little background of how I came to understand and learn about Ellen was when we first got into business at Living Waters. I got every one of Dr. Bernard Jensen's books and tapes and CDs, and on one of those was Miss Ellen teaching a class about colon hydrotherapy and deep tissue cleansing. And so, in fact, I still remember to this day, and I'd like to talk about this just a bit, because you had quite an experience of your healing ministry. But I want to go back and just start at the beginning. Let's talk a little bit about Dr. Bernard Jensen.
Yeah, it was a 200-acre health ranch.
Wow.
And it was absolutely beautiful. We had water walking, cold water walking. Dr. Jensen really believed in that because he visited Warsaw in Germany,
yeah.
and Sebastian Knipe was very ill, and he founded cold water walking, which helps to really move the blood. Dr. Jensen used to say the legs are pumps.
Right.
That pump the blood back up, and you've got to get those valves in those legs working. So we do cold water walking back and forth up to our knees, and you would feel so good after you were done. So we had that. We had grass walking, sand walking. We had a color therapy room where people would go in and sit under different colored lights. Bernard Jensen really believed in color and the healing of different color vibrations. We had a large kitchen where people got specific foods according to what Dr. Jensen recommended for them in their iris analysis. And so we just had a very huge, wonderful place with, beautiful swimming pools and
wow,
flowers. And, we had the gardens, and the greenhouses were amazing. We had huge carrots and huge squashes. And I know my husband, when we had, he would carry those huge squashes on his shoulders. They were so huge.
wow.
Because the soil there, Dr. Jensen put so much emphasis into a thick layer of really good soil. And we had mulch piles in which we took the rest of the fruits and vegetables from the kitchen, and we put in the mulch piles to put back into the gardens. He also really believed in the earthworms, because the earthworms would aerate the soil, which would help the soil to be healthier so the plants could absorb the nutrition that they needed. Right. So the garden was fabulous, and most everything we served in the kitchen came from the garden, and people would work in the gardens. It was really good for people to go barefooted on the soil.
Yeah. So you had to have, with that many people, you had to have a lot of colon hydrotherapy units and colon hydrotherapists.
Yes.
How many did you have? Do you remember?
Well, actually, what we did was we let each person have their place, and they had their own board.
Okay, so they would do it in their own rooms then.
Yes, they would do it in their own rooms, and we would so I was one of the people that would oversee them and assist them. We had other people that would oversee and assist them, and Dr. Jensen would teach classes on it every single day during the cleanse. And
Okay.
we would check out the person and take their blood pressure and their temperature. And
Right.
he did blood work before anybody started, the whole thing. And it was really amazing to see the progress of those people and the healing that occurred.
Well, the second phone call I got about 2 months later, after I told you the first phone call, was another gentleman who, in 1963, I believe it was, he was 5. He was in California, his family. His mom was in a hospital dying, and the dad was told, "There's nothing we can do. Your wife is going to die. Go home, get your kids, and let them say goodbye to mom." On the way back, he's listening to Dr. Bernard Jensen on the radio, just by divine intervention. And he
Uh,
thought, wow, what if? So he takes his kids, he goes in the hospital, he picks up his dying wife, starts walking out of the hospital. The doctors and nurses go, no, no, you can't take her, she's dying. And all he said was, if she's dead, you're done. Puts her in the car, goes to the radio station, demands to see Dr. Jensen. Of course, he's not there. And he says, look, if she dies, it's on your hands, because I need to see him. I believe that he holds the key to helping her heal. So she went through the process there at your ranch.
yeah.
And this was been about 8 years ago. She was still alive then. I haven't seen this gentleman since about 2011. But yeah, his mom was, I think, 75 at that time, living well in Salt Lake City, Utah. And
Yeah.
yeah, so
The body is a system of pipes and tubes.
yeah,
And when those get all clogged up, we're going to be sick.
right,
And when we clean those out, I mean, I'm putting it very simply. There's a lot more to it than that.
right.
But as a good visualization, when we get those cleaned out, we feel great.
Yeah, we
And
sure
when that
do.
blood gets flowing, I mean, you can look at a live blood cell analysis, and when that blood is all sticky and sticking together, it's called rouleau. And people have pain where the blood is sticking together.
Right,
And so we want that blood to be flowing freely through the body. We want the lymph to be clear and clean and nourishing the bones and the joints.
right.
And so, it's a matter of getting ourselves cleaned out, but the other matter is nourished well and getting the essential elements our bodies need. Bernard Jensen used to say we are literally made from the dust of the earth.
Right.
I mean, we're made from the organic elements of the earth, and people have totally lost touch with that.
Yeah. Yeah.
The only way we can get that is through our food. People want to take all the, I have clients come to me, they don't care one thing about their diet. They just want to take a lot of vitamins. No, the food is number one, and what we're putting in our bodies daily is so crucial.
Right. Yeah. And right now, now that there's a celery cleanse, going on, that's the next fad. And the problem is that people are going buying celery non-organic, which is one of the highest pesticide-laden
That is correct.
vegetables. I experienced this back 20, 30 years ago when I ate some celery, my throat started going shut.
Yes.
I told my dad was with me. I says, man, I'm having a hard time breathing. It gets worse. Take me to the hospital. And eventually it cleared up. But now they're just drinking a toxic soup.
Yes.
We got to grow. We got to start growing more of our own and making sure we get real food, not non-organic.
And it's the life force in the food. I think that life force, and really, Dr. Jensen used to say, is pure, whole, and natural and close to the earth as possible. I think that life force is something that mankind hasn't even learned to measure or value, in addition to all the nutrients and the chlorophyll and the antioxidants.
Right.
We need some living salads.
We do. Why do you think, go back to Gerson, why do you think, he's never in that today, of course, he's long passed on, but was he back then advocating for colon hydrotherapy, or did that just kind of get lost along the years?
He mostly stuck with the coffee enemas.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what worked for him.
Okay.
And he had cancer himself and healed from it.
Yeah. I have had cancer as well and healed from it without doing the traditional. So.
And the doctor I studied with in Switzerland had liver cancer, and he healed it with raw fruits and vegetables over 5 years of time. And he used water enemas. He didn't know about the lenses at that time, the cleansing boards.
Right.
But he used water enemas and heal completely himself.
Right. And then for your journey as well, because you, I mean, those 2 accidents, and then you began, I remember you saying in the video, lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of cleanses. Do you know how many colonics that you've done over the years?
I don't. I'd say thousands.
Yeah, I'm close to 500, right near 500.
Well, I'm sure I'm over 1,000.
I
Yeah.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. I occasionally get these stories of people who have done, 500, 600. I had a gal call me, again, I call these the divine intervention. Keep David in the saddle here, focused on, I always see my role as the cheerleader, getting people to take the step forward and not be afraid of colon hydrotherapy. And this gal called me from New Jersey, and she thought we were just down the road. We're, of course, in Boise, Idaho. But come to find out, her mom had got cancer, died from it. She decided, I'm not going to take that path. I'm going to go natural. Did a bunch of things, herbs and so forth, but she was feeling really bad. Someone said, get a colonic. And she goes, what's that? Kind of like what I did in 1996.
Mm-hmm.
What's that? And so she did colonic. She did 12. She says, I felt better, but not great. I did 12 more, felt better, but not great. And on her 30th colonic, big old nest of parasites.
Right.
And she says, then I felt really good. About a year later, same thing happened. She did about 30 more colonics, another great big nest. So in your work, what did you, in terms of the part of that protocol of healing, were you guys given the herbs for the parasites as well?
Mm-hmm. We use the parasite herbs. We use the cloves, the wormwood, the garlic. That's very powerful for killing the parasites, pumpkin seeds, things like that. The thing I want to caution people about, though, because I've seen this over and over again, they want to eat a really bad diet and then go get a colonic.
Yeah.
And I really feel like that's not proper, and it's not the right thing for the body. I mean, it can save a life, actually, but then they need to turn their lives around. Right. Because so many times people just say, oh, I can eat whatever I want. I'm just going to go take a colonic.
Right.
And then you end up damaging your body that way. So I want to say, if you do colon hydrotherapy or cleansing boards at home, that you need to be on a really good cleanse program.
Right. So let's talk about, your work. You're in iridology now, which is fascinating. And that was what really led me, as I told you here before I started the call, kind of long-term into, I met this young lady and she looked into my eyes and asked me, well, David, how often do you poop? I don't know, once every 2 or 3 days. He goes, that's not good. I go, what's good? She says, you should eat and poop. Well, I said, what do I do? And she says, colonics. I go, what's that? Yeah. So she was using iridology, of course, and I just am really amazed. I've got, of course, all your fine work here. I just purchased everything that you've done, iridology. So if you want to become an iridologist, guys, get her book. We'll talk about how to get that in a minute. But we've got these hung up all over the clinic. Yes. Yes. And I want to know the genesis behind this. I mean, who figured all of this out, all these connections to the gut, every nerve? For those of you who are watching the first time, every organ in your body has a nerve that goes to the gut. There's more neurons, we've learned. In the last 10 years, we've learned a lot, haven't we, about the gut?
Yes.
More neurons in the spinal column. I mean, what?
Yes. Yes.
And of course, most people are packing around 12 to 15 pounds, they say, maybe more. So tell me the genesis, tell me the story behind this. I think everyone should have this in their home.
I actually work with Tart-Jensen on that chart.
Awesome.
And you will notice, I don't know if you've studied that chart enough to know, but when you see the transverse colon,
right,
all of the organs that connect with the transverse colon connect to the brain.
Right.
And so, when you see the side, you can see that it connects with the lungs and the heart.
Right.
And it's exactly the same in the iris.
Yeah.
So the reflex connections in the iris, which we show the little irises down at the bottom,
right,
are brilliant because you have your transverse colon, your descending colon, and your sigmoid colon in the left iris, which goes around on your left side.
Right.
And in the right iris, you have your ascending colon and your transverse colon. You have your appendix there as well. And so just outside those organ areas in the iris, we see how it connects to the lungs, the ear, neck, and shoulder,
Right.
and the brain. And Dr. Jensen called it the neural arc reflex. So much like we have reflex responses in the feet,
Right.
we also have reflex responses in the intestinal tract and in the eyes. And I believe a lot of this started in ancient China, where they were studying the nerve reflexes with acupuncture thousands of years ago. But recently, the intestinal tract's really been studied as our second brain.
Right.
Because it connects to all parts of the body. And we also can feel very, very depressed and have brain fog, especially when that transverse colon is all congested.
Right.
So, and so many times, and there's a connection in the intestinal tract that connects directly to the ears. And that's right here at your hepatic flexure, your where the ascending colon transfers over to the right here. That's the hepatic flexure, and then over here is the splenic flexure. So those areas connect with your ears. And so if we see an imbalance in the iris in those areas, you know, a child can come in with chronic ear infections, and they've been for all kinds of treatments over and over again. They get the antibiotics, it comes back, but you haven't treated the cause, which is in the intestinal tract. So we can see that pattern in the iris, and then we can look and clean the intestinal tract, and the person gets rid of their ear infections for good. I was one of those children. You know, I had ear infections and sore throats, and still until I started doing the cleansing.
Wow. So today I was at a party just this Saturday, and I see this from time to time, but people have a little earring up in here for migraines.
Right.
Yeah. Want to talk about
a connection. That's a connection that connects to the brain area.
Unfortunately, she says it's helped, but it hasn't solved the problem.
Well, she probably needs to do some colonics and cleansing and
Well, I suggested that, so we'll see what happens there. But
because migraines are directly related. The blood from the liver bathes the brain. And so if your liver needs cleansing, you're going to get migraines.
Yeah. Everything. So people are, you know, all the intake forms that come in here, I look at it, most of our clients are women, and they've been put on depression or anxiety medication, maybe given some Adderall to help get their energy up because they're out of energy. The complaint is always brain fog, or it's just all in their head, which is why they get the depression or anxiety medication. And you're going to be I always say, well, you're going to have anxiety and depression if no one can figure out what's wrong with you. But I always bring it back to, and we're very descriptive here when we ask people, how do you poop? When do you poop? What's it look like? What's it smell like? What's the color? That is so important. Everyone should have this Bristol stool chart. They should have Dr. Jensen, Iridology, so they can, oh, there we go. That's what's going on. Look at my colon here. That connection.
Yes. You know, I had a student one time, and she put a picture of the colon on a t-shirt.
Yeah.
And all the connections, so you could, and then she put a tennis ball in the pocket.
Yeah.
Because I always teach in my classes to massage your colon with a tennis ball. And start deep down here in the lower right hand side and move up, over, and down. And so she had these t-shirts with that pattern on it with a tennis ball.
Awesome.
So people could, like, if they were having ear problems, they could massage over here.
Well, the other big thing that people are losing, if we see real close there, liver, gallbladder.
Yes.
Look where that connection is. And of course, the chyme is dumping in the small intestine, mostly liquid there. It's got to go uphill against gravity.
Yeah.
And this is the area that usually really gets impacted. And I believe this is where the parasites just love to lay.
They live in that cecum, and that's what causes appendicitis.
Yeah.
Because if they're, you know, parasites are going to live where they're going to be fed breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Right.
I mean, it's served right there for them because it's full of toxins, and it settles in there, and that's where the parasites like to live.
Right. What do you believe are the biggest sources of, people believe we're in the United States. That's a third world country thing. But I mean, you and I both know that's not true.
No.
So sources of parasites, you got a list that you want to tell us about?
Well, I've seen, just backing up, I've seen a lot of parasites come out of people.
Oh yeah, me too.
Because in working with Bernard Jensen, we did. So I feel like parasites love sugar, and that's their number one food. And I believe that God in nature designs our bodies to be demolished by parasites at the end of our lives. And so that's how we decay at the end when we're passing away.
Right.
And I mean, really, they probably live in our bodies, in everyone's bodies, but never are hatched or come to life because they don't have the food that they need. But Americans are pouring in more and more of the foods they love.
Right.
And so this is why they're coming to be. But you can pick up parasites on food, you know, on foods that aren't washed well from all kinds of places.
Right.
I mean, gardens that have manure in them can, if you don't wash your food well, can have parasites as well.
Yeah. As I tell people, they start out very microscopic. I was juicing some organic carrots one day, and I saw something move on the edge of that carrot, and I go, and I looked, it was the size of a pencil lead. It was a little bug, a little critter. I could have easily juiced it, and probably have done multiple.
Yes.
And drink organic juice, thinking, oh, great, but there's gonna be bugs everywhere. I mean, we got pets, we walk barefoot,
Yes.
in a public restroom.
But if we stay away from sugar, I think that's the number one culprit that feeds them.
Yeah, well,
and keep our terrain of our body healthy. They can't live there. They can't reasonably live there. But if you're just feeding your body the things they love, they're going to proliferate.
I got to be with Hal Huggins for a couple of weeks up in Montreal, Canada, and I had 13 amalgam fillings, and he supervised that. And I learned a lot in those 2 weeks of lecture.
It was amazing.
Oh my gosh! And so we talked about, today we got all that. The heavy metals is just horrific compared to when you and I was kids.
Oh yes.
Yeah, and today the poor kids are just getting so bombarded, and we're seeing, of course, since he said in 1972 they changed the type of mercury amalgam filling that gave off more mercury vapors, and I see yeast candida. I had it severely. Yeah. Some of those pictures you guys got in your information, my feet were about that bad at one point.
Yes.
Not fun.
No.
This was, do we all have to get sick to learn about this stuff? Is that what the deal is? Is we all have to get...
I hope people are going to wake up and learn how to prevent things.
Yeah.
And I would like to talk about the symptoms of parasites and to help people understand what yeast candida is.
Right.
Because yeast and candida live naturally in the intestinal tract. We all have it.
Right.
And it's put there in order to gobble up heavy metals, chemicals, toxins, sugar, and get rid of it for you. But when you have an overload of it, then they start growing too prolifically, and they bore holes through the intestinal tract. They get in your bloodstream and your lymph fluid, out in your skin. They get up in your brain and cause brain fog and cause dandruff on your scalp. They cause rashes on your body. They can cause fungus on your toes. They can cause ear infections, sore throat, sinus drainage, and rashes on your skin and bloating. After you eat a meal, people say, why am I so bloated? Well, the candida are just having a wonderful time down there, and they defecate. I mean, and they send their own poisons out into the body, which make us feel horrible. And so other symptoms of parasites are rectal itching, people scratching their noses, their heads, their ears all the time. I've literally had clients that tell me, I can feel something moving. I can feel it moving in there. And there are parasites there. I have seen parasites come up out of people's skins when I've had them bathe in a bath of cloves
Wow.
tea, and it'll come up out of their skins, and they'll call me freaking out, and I'll say, praise the Lord, do it again tonight.
Yeah.
Soak in that bath again until they don't come out anymore. Because we do need to wake up and realize. I've had people bring me whole jars of parasites and tapeworms and things from their cleanses.
Right.
So and I've seen them in supervising cleanses, dashing and darting around. So I feel like people need to be more aware of the fact that they do exist and how to keep their bodies clean, bathe well properly and do your skin brushing and avoid wheat, milk, and sugar, and eat healthy whole foods, and take parasite herbs and do some cleanses 2 or 3 times a year.
Right. We said someone, speaking of parasites, it was actually in her brain. I mean, she just pulling on her head.
Yes.
And it was she wanted to get, while she was here, she was ready to leave on day 11. And the parasites were literally just over speaking through her over us. We had to finally go to a silent retreat. But she was pulling on her head, had a CT scan, of course, showed nothing. But 2 days after that, tapeworm comes out. Now the parasites really started to, she spent about 17 or 18 days maybe here. And then became so much better, she went and became a colon hydrotherapist, which was a pretty cool story.
Good for her. That's awesome. But people can swim in lakes and ponds and rivers that have parasites that can get in through the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears. And some of those are actually deadly.
Yeah.
They can affect you in a very terrible way. So there are many, many ways. Going barefooted out in a pasture where cows and horses live may cause parasites. There's lots of ways. We just need to be proactive in preventing and taking care of our bodies.
Right. So you did great work. It's amazing. You've got this new textbook. So I want to talk about, if you're really, really passionate healer, you probably want to get Ellen's books, and you can take this, which I'm starting to do, taking the class actually right here in my office. But you also you can go to you live.
Yes.
And you'll teach the class live. But maybe someone's a mother, they're really busy, they don't want to full on, but is there kind of a basic primer or something they could get so they could just, rather than, going and spending the money on a doctor, can they look at their eyes and kind of get enough knowledge to say, okay, I think, we got some parasites, or, maybe we ought to do some enemas or some colonics for their babies. Let's kind of empower those mothers, because you and the Jensen family, you guys have spent over almost a century of amazing work. There's, it's too bad there's not thousands of Jensen families out there. So how would we, give the visitors some of the key things that they can call your office and say, hey, I need that book, I need that?
I would recommend this book, Health is Your Birthright.
Okay.
For every person. It's like a Bible for nutrition.
Okay.
And it tells you step by step what to leave off, what to replace with. It has poultices, salves, baths. It has remedies, natural remedies for every ailment, A to Z. It has every juice and how that is medicinal for the body. It has every herb and how that's medicinal. It has every vitamin, every mineral, and what it does for the body. And I also have case studies, and I have my 10-day cleanse in this book, Health is Your Birthright.
Awesome.
So I'd recommend that. And then for the person that doesn't want to go into iridology in depth, there's my simplified guide to iridology.
Okay.
Which is very easy to understand for any lay person. And they can go on my website, Bernardjensen.com. That's JENSEN.com. Or I also have a website that's informational about iridology called myinfiniteiris.com.
You can't treat the body and heal it a piece at a time. You have to treat the whole body naturally. That's why Living Waters Wellness Center 10-day healing retreat is so successful in helping what I call the incurables back to wellness. Here's what a few clients had to say about their experience at Living Waters Wellness Center.
For over a year, I've been dealing with gas pains, stomach pains, and it's been waking me up in the middle of the night, so I never get a full night's rest. And last night, after my first colonics, I slept through the entire night without any stomach pain or any kind of issues.
I suffered from migraine headaches for 12 years, once a month, and since I did the 10-day retreat at Living Waters Wellness Center 8 years ago, I have not even had a migraine. I've not even had a headache.
I had back pain on my left side for about 25 years. After the 10-day healing retreat, the pain is completely gone.
To learn more about the 10-day healing retreat, go to healingtheincurables.com or call the office at 208-378-9911. That's 208-378-9911. The preceding examples may not be typical of your experience and may not be right for you. Seek the opinion of a qualified healthcare professional before determining if cleansing is right for you. My infinite iris, I'll put that on the screen, okay? Awesome.
And they can call our office at 760-471-9977. And in that is if they want to learn more information about my classes. I teach entire seminars here once or twice a year. I teach all over the world. I was in Ireland in May and teaching in Australia in August. And if they study with me, they can become certified by the International Iridology Practitioners Association.
Okay.
And when they become certified, we put you on our website. It's iridologyassn.org, and refer you to anyone that calls in to our central office there at the International Iridology Practitioners Association.
Okay.
Yeah. So if they want to become certified, they can do it in a couple of different ways. They can study my 9 DVD set with the notebook like you have there at home, and I will mentor them. Or they can come to a live seminar with me, or they can look at that website, Iridology ASSN, and we have trained certified instructors all over the world.
Oh, fantastic. Well, a lot of great work. So another powerful story. So, which we mentioned earlier, Dr. Jensen. So, and he kept teaching, I understand. I just had some people come in just 2 months ago that took his class in Florida after he had healed.
Yes.
You want to talk about that story at age 88 when he crashed and
yes.
prostate cancer? I mean, that was amazing.
Yes. Yes. And I truly believe, see, Bernard Jensen, he worked really, I can't even tell people how hard he worked. And he kept many employees busy 7 days a week, just about. And he stayed busy all of his life, but he traveled in over 50 countries.
Wow.
And I've done a lot of that myself, sitting in planes, going to Philippines, Sri Lanka. That you stay awake 46 hours.
Yeah.
And people, and you do your best about eating, but you know, food you carry with you lasts so long.
Right.
And sitting on that plane for long distances, I really believe that contributed to Dr. Jensen's prostate cancer. But when he passed away, it was completely gone.
Isn't that amazing?
Because he stopped and he did all the things that he knew to do for the healing of it.
Right.
And but what happened in the process of healing that, he was in a bad car accident. And I don't know if you ever watched The Love Boat with Gavin MacLeod. He was the captain of the Love Boat.
Right.
But they were good friends with Bernard and Marie, and so they were out to dinner, and they were rear-ended.
Yeah.
And so he was rushed to the hospital, but then he was dropped from a gurney.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. So he had a severe injury from that, and so he was so determined, and he did everything because he had taught it all over the world. He stopped and did everything he knew, and it's explained in that book, Come Alive, with pictures and everything he did to heal himself through that.
Well, he got down to 88 pounds at 88 years of age, right?
Yes, he did.
I mean, most people would make funeral arrangements.
But part of the reason he did that, because I was with him during that time,
right?
He did a month fast on juice.
Wow.
He
Okay.
only drank juice for a month to starve that cancer out of his body. And I said, Dr. Jensen, it's time for you to start eating again. And so he did. But he was determined to starve it out. And he worked really hard with all the things he taught to get well, and he did.
Now, was
And
he in North Idaho at that time?
he went up and worked, yes, in North
Dr.
Idaho.
Mike, I guess, came and helped him. Was this
Yes, and my husband went up there with him many times. And
why North Idaho? What was the connection there?
there was a special doctor, a chiropractor up there at that time that he went and stayed with, and to get away from all the people in order to heal.
So was that this Dr. Mike?
Dr. Mike came in and helped him.
He was from Montana, right?
Yes.
Is he still around? Is he still here on Earth?
I've lost touch with him, so I'm not positive.
What was his last name?
I can't remember actually
Okay.
right this minute, but they did a lot of enzyme therapy.
Okay. Yeah. Awesome. Yeah.
And colloidal silver, he did colloidal silver, and just lots of things to put that in remission.
So that must have been the chiropractic clinic that the gal that called me. That must have been that must have been that connection there. That.
Yes.
Yeah.
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 Very possible.
Fascinating.
Yeah.
Fascinating. I've wanted to have this conversation for so long. You have
He
no
was
idea.
one of the most determined people you've ever met in your life.
I'll be darned.
He was determined. You know, my husband and I both have sat right beside him with very seriously ill people, helping them get well. And he was determined for his patients. He was determined when he became ill himself. He had to practice everything that he had taught, and he did, to
Right.
his credit.
Right. Physician, heal thyself, huh?
Yes, exactly. And he had in his early 20s with tuberculosis.
Right.
And then he went through all those many, many years of traveling to all those countries. He wrote over 50 books, traveled in over 50 countries before he got sick again.
Right. Yeah. No. What amazing. I mean, I'm flabbergasted with how much he wrote.
Yes.
I mean, the sheer volumes, like you said, he was he was a hard worker, obviously.
And we have a lot of his books on ebooks now because we
Okay.
want to preserve them forever. And those
Yes.
can be downloaded from our website as well.
Yeah, I would really, if you're interested in nutrition and healing, there's a lot of sources, but that stuff is solid gold.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
It's timeless.
timeless information for sure, for sure.
Mhm.
That's just
And there's
fascinating.
not a country that I go to that didn't know about Bernard Jensen.
Yeah, I can. Yeah,
I've traveled all over the world myself, and a lot of other countries really knew him and loved him even more than they did here, because here people are so blinded by the fast foods and all
Right.
that we have
Right.
here. But in other countries, every word he said was treasure to what they could do to get well.
Well, I find it that was non-internet age, okay? So
Yes.
the fact that he was able, his information spread, and I don't know what the marketing department was like for you guys, but 160 people coming in, and was that every week he had a new batch coming in?
No, that could be depending on how long the people were staying.
Okay.
Some people stayed a month, some people
All right.
stayed a year.
How long did you guys have the ranch going? When did that?
It was, let's see, he pared it down in the 70s to 10 acres.
Okay.
He decided that he wanted to do more writing and traveling and teaching.
Okay.
And that's when I worked with him on writing a lot of his books, and I even traveled with him and assisted him with his classes.
Okay.
I mean, I even assisted him in teaching classes when he was 91 and 92 years old, before he passed away when he was 93.
Okay.
And I really believe he may have lived longer if he hadn't have been traveling and putting his work out there so much.
Yeah.
But it was his passion, and it was what he was here on earth to do. It was his mission.
Right.
Because Bernard Jensen was fascinated by the long-lived people on the planet.
Yeah.
And he paid people in different countries to research who were the longest lived people in their country. And we would get letters with birth certificates, especially from places like Russia, where they lived 150 years old.
Wow.
And Dr. Jensen traveled to Russia and he met some of those people. And he said they came riding in on horseback and they didn't have arthritis.
Yeah.
And he said that they lived close to the earth and they ate what they grew.
Yeah. Wow.
And they lived long lives.
Yeah. Because they didn't have the 80,000, they didn't have near as much chemical
Yes.
weaponization, as you might say, as I see it, all these chemicals that we
have a lot of that journey is in the DVD called His Quest.
His Quest, okay.
His Quest is quite amazing. And that was actually narrated by the actor Dennis Weaver.
Oh,
And
okay.
Dennis Weaver interviewed Bernard, and it takes you all over the world on his journeys.
Oh.
And he was most interested in each country and what it was that helped that country live a long life. What was the secret of each country is in that DVD, His Quest.
Right. And I don't suppose any of those countries, it wasn't because of the chemicals they were able to compound and put in the body for a long time.
No. Some of them, like in Switzerland, it was hiking.
Yeah.
Different ones, it was different secrets, the health secrets of different countries.
Right. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, hiking, you're moving lymphatic, you're keeping your blood fluid. If you're eating from the ground, you're not, and you're avoiding the, as I call it, cow pus.
Correct.
We have a very large cow pus operation here in Idaho.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that one is a wonderful documentary. It's a movie that's
Awesome.
very interesting called His Quest. And then when we had his centennial celebration, we had 16 speakers who were his students here from all over the world.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we had over 300 attendees from all over the world.
Oh my gosh.
And I put together live footage from his reel-to-reels. I took his reel-to-reels out because he was an avid photographer.
Huh.
And wherever he would go, he would video. So
Yeah,
I spent a year taking that footage and putting it into a DVD that's in our centennial DVD program that people can order as well.
Oh, I'm definitely gonna get that. As soon as we hang up, I'm calling your office. I'm gonna get both of those.
Yes.
Yeah. Wow. So exciting. Well, hey, any guests, by the way, so go to bernardjensen.com, right?
Yes.
All these books we talk about, your iridology information.
All the DVDs, the CDs, everything is on bernardjensen.com.
Yeah, for mamas out there, you want something similar, Your Birthright by Dr. Ellen.
Health is Your Birthright. Mm-hmm.
And if you really want to get fancy smancy, you might want to get the iridology chart. These charts are, and this chart here, and this should be in everybody's homes.
Yeah.
And this is just a great thing for the kids to understand. I mean, what a gift it would be if all the kids in the world had this. Oh my gosh, I've got, my arm hurts, my left arm, what's going on? Well, there's a connection, right? In these charts.
Yes.
It just puts that into the
Dr. Cohen,
you've got that information.
If you want a smaller iridology chart, we also have this one.
Yeah.
So and on the back of this one, it has each organ of the body.
Oh,
and
awesome.
It also has the vitamins, the minerals, the herbs, and foods for each organ of the body.
I don't think I've got that one.
And that's this one. And this is the desk chart I use when I see my clients to explain the connections of the iris to all parts of the body.
Well, I see I've got some more money to send your way here.
Because there are 28,000 nerve endings in each iris that go to all parts of the body. And the border of the pupil, which is the black hole, is live nerve tissue that connects to the optic nerve and the spinal cord that then goes out to all parts of the body.
Right.
So we're amazingly made, and we're all hooked up through the eyes.
Yeah. What happens when someone loses an eye?
I've had those clients. As a matter of fact, one of the first people I ever analyzed at Dr. Jensen's ranch had a glass eye.
Wow.
And so I was looking in his eye, and it was all painted. It was glass. And he just started laughing, and I was like, oh my goodness. But so you can't analyze it, of
Right.
course. It's a prosthesis. So you can only analyze their other eye.
But in terms of just the connections that's going on, the information being sent
Well,
back.
they're out of balance.
Right.
Because they have less light coming in that side of the body.
Right.
And they can only see out of one side. But amazingly, the other eye starts to compensate.
We had a lady that came, she'd been disabled for about nearly all her life, from age 5 to 30. Well, she was 40 when we met her. She had been diagnosed with Lyme, was her symptom. But she came through the cleanse. She spent quite a bit of time with us, I think about 13 days. And she'd basically just been bedridden most of her life. One time in a wheelchair. She couldn't work. She mostly slept. But not only did she get better, she's now working full-time, volunteering, very active. But this is pretty cool. She thought she had to get new glasses, which she did, but it was because her eyesight improved by, get this, double.
Yes.
By cleansing.
Yes, absolutely. I've seen that over and over again.
Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
There's just no end to what miracles can happen if we give it the proper foundation. So I want to speak just for I know we went over our time we planned, but if you don't mind imbibing me for just a minute, because I'm so fascinated with you guys. So he talks a lot in these books, a lot about the spirituality and so forth in all of these books.
Right.
And I remember one point he says, sometimes it's time to just get new clothes. The energy, talks about the energy and things.
Right.
You want to speak to that? Sometimes people get a little bit freaked out sometimes when we mention spirit or cleansing the spirit. What does that really mean in the terms of deep tissue cleansing?
Well, it's very important to understand, and I talk a lot about it in my book, Health is Your Birthright.
Okay.
Because when you start cleansing the physical body,
right.
I've seen this over and over again, old memories, painful memories come up to the surface. Right. And so they're going to need to cry, or they're going to need to become angry to release those out. Right. And a lot of times these are stored memories. And so many times people have suffered something very painful emotionally in their past, and it's still really bothering them, and they think about it all the time, but they don't talk about it, or they have suppressed it and they don't really think about it every day, but when they go through a cleanse, it can come up. Because in addition to cleansing the toxic matter out of the body, we need to cleanse out the old painful memories so they're not holding us back anymore.
Right.
So when people go through cleansing and these things come up, I suggest that they sit and just write it out, and just write and write and write, almost like you're vomiting, you're releasing, you're getting rid of every painful thing that ever happened to you. And when you're done, and you may write 20 pages if you need to, but stay with it and just write everything until you feel like everything's come out on that paper. And then it's very powerful to rip it up and burn it in a fire. And if you're a spiritual person, you ask God to release it from your being. You ask God to take it from you. And fire is symbolic to the subconscious mind that you've really let it go, because intention is everything. I intend to release this.
Ah, yes, intention.
And so when you're writing, you might even light a candle and say a prayer and say, I intend to release this. I intend not to let this trouble me ever again. I'm going to release it and set it free, and release it and see it dissolve in the fire. And then it's very important to write a new thing for yourself, such as I am healthy, I am strong, I am confident, I am well able, I am happy, good things are coming into my life, and hang it up where you can see it all the time. And forgiveness is one of the most powerful things a person can do. To forgive doesn't mean you condone, but it means you are letting it go. You're not going to hold on to it. So, when we hold on to blame or grudge or bitterness, it destroys us more than the other person. So forgiving means to let it go and let it go from your being and release it. And then put a new thought into your being about that. The other thing is gratitude. And I like to think about a person can find a very special stone and hold it in their pockets to remind them to think of 10 things they're grateful for every morning, and then say 10 things before they go to sleep. Because keeping really happy, good thoughts going in your being is going to help the body be healthy. They've even proven
Right.
that healthy thoughts produce healing hormones that are not produced at any other time than when we're happy.
So maybe rather than hormone therapy, we need to change our thoughts.
Exactly. We need to laugh more. We need to be more joyful. We need to look in the mirror every day and tell ourselves that we love ourselves. And sometimes the person we need to forgive is ourselves.
Yeah.
And deeply love ourselves unconditionally in order to be able to heal yourself.
Kids can pick up on this. So back before we got into this, what we're doing today, my son had a wart, and I think he was about 6. And there was one wart on his arm, and we tried all the natural things and either, things we'd read about and heard about, and pretty soon he had more warts. And then finally, after a couple of years or so, he's got like a wart on his foot. Now, this is a very active kid. And this is a big deal. On his foot, hurts to run, right? At that time, both of us, I had been recommended 3 times to buy Louise Hay's book, You Can Heal Your Life. Wendy got it as well. We both came home that night. We both bought the book. And we did the affirmation, I love myself, I love myself, I love myself. He did that. He said it 10 times as he went to bed.
Aww.
And I think it was 3 days, the wart was gone.
Yes.
I had clients coming in some years later here at Living Waters, and, hey, my boy's got warts. What should we do? I said, oh, kids are easy. And I remember this one, her name's Jerry, and she went home, and her son, I think it was 5 days, the warts were gone.
Oh.
And we started, of course, now in our family, we're very big on affirmations and
yes.
we put up. So it's very, very powerful. Yeah.
It is very powerful. And that book has helped lots of people.
Now, the thing that also happens, I see from time to time, people get, I can't do your cleanse. And I go, why is that? Well, my religion doesn't believe in that. Did you see that as well? I see that it seems to me that we get a little bit hung up on processes or religion versus spirituality.
Yeah.
And Dr. Jensen wrote a lot about forgiveness and all these things you talk about. You'd almost think that he was a minister. I don't know if he was or not, but
he could have been. His all of his talks were very spiritually aware.
Yeah. So where do you think that hang up is? Is that just rules and things that people get confused between spirituality and religion? Is that what's happening?
I think there are some religions that I've had a few people tell me that Iridology is against their religion, or cleansing's against their religion. But I think it's because those religions were developed such a long time ago. They weren't aware of these things. So I'm not sure, so I can't speak to that. I honor all religions.
Yeah.
But I feel like if we can open our minds and our hearts, that we all have a loving God that wants us to be well and has given us these tools to help us. And my whole quest in life with my own scoliosis and surgeries was how to heal myself without needles, knives, and drugs.
Yeah.
And I found these things so valuable because Iridology was a kind, non-invasive form of analysis. And so was the cleansing. And the cleansing was a healing that really kept you from having those harmful, drugs and surgeries. Now, there are surgeries. If you break a bone, you need a surgery. I'm not saying anything against that, but what I'm saying is there are times when we can prevent and avoid it.
Right, right. I thought it was fascinating that there was when they found the Dead Sea Scrolls in the 1940s,
Yes,
the Essene Gospel of Peace, and the fact that they were doing cleansing with a
yes,
gourd, uh,
yes, yes.
back 2,000 years ago, before 80,000 chemicals
And Jesus had the people cleanse with a gourd and
right,
put the water through the gourd to cleanse the body. And in Dr. Jensen's early work, and he was traveling around with another doctor, the baby was just about to die, and the doctor had the mother go out and get a reed and filled it with water and blew water in the baby's rectum and saved its life.
wow. This is when Dr. Jensen was traveling.
Yes.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
With
So
the reed.
that story is in his book, Tissue Cleansing Through Bowel Management, I believe.
Okay. All right.
He told me so many stories. I think that they're in his book, but sometimes I get confused what he might have told me and what I read in his book.
Right, right. Well, it's amazing the work that you're carrying on. I see you've got some great artists that obviously in your family behind you.
Oh, these are my clients. These are children that come to see me, and I see hundreds of children in my practice, and I have a very busy practice. And so, they color pictures for me. It tells me a lot about their feelings.
Yeah, exactly. So someone has got, I know you've worked with autistic. I think you mentioned that earlier. So if someone wants to work with you, they're in Boise, Idaho, or Butte, Montana, can they schedule a call with you
They
on
can
the
do
phone?
a phone consultation with me, yes.
Yes. Fantastic. And how do they go about doing that, Ellen?
They need to call 760-471-9977.
Well, guys, if you write that number down, put it in your pocket, because we're meeting today with someone who is an absolute, obviously, amazing story, lots of knowledge. She's furthered the work for all mankind. So the Jensen family, thank goodness you guys have been here on Earth. I am so grateful and privileged to have had you on this call today. Sorry to get some tears now. So
I'm so grateful to be here as well. There was a time in my life after my back surgery in my 20s, I lay looking at the ceiling and I was asking God, if you'll just help me get well, I'll help the world. I will.
right.
And I had no idea then my journey, but
Right.
it's been the natural therapies that have healed me, that let me do all that I do now. And I practice this work every day, David.
Yeah. And it's amazing, like you say, you've cleansed and you look awesome.
Thank you.
I don't know what your age is, but you look probably 30 years younger than probably your chronological age.
Well, I'm in my 60s now.
That's so awesome, so awesome. So, well, I'm so grateful to have you here on this call today. We went way over. We had so much to talk about.
So if our people at Bernard Jensen International or the International Iridology Practitioners Association would like to watch this,
Yes.
How would I have them watch it?
I'm going to actually, after I get this done, I'm going to post it on our YouTube channel, and I'm also on our Facebook. I'm going to send you, and you can post it on your website as well. So we'll have both for the clients at livingwaterscleanse.com and for bernardjensen.com and for you as well. So they'll have both.
We will do that. And God bless you in your work as well.
You as well. So you guys, if you're interested in knowing more, definitely go check out bernardjensen.com. Definitely at least Powerful Mamas, get the book, Your Birthright, read that book, and get maybe the basic iridology chart or colon chart, just to have that in your home to make awareness to your kids. Anyway, it's been a pleasure to have you. I'm David DeHaas from Living Waters, livingwaterscleanse.com, where miracles begin by healing from within. Make it a blessed day. Hey, everyone, if you enjoyed today's podcast, please give us a like. Please do make a comment. Also, if you want to learn more about detoxifying the whole body, please visit www.healingtheincurables.com. We have made a webinar just for you so that you understand how the body heals from within. That's www.healingtheincurables.com. Thanks for joining our podcast. The information on this website is presented for educational purposes only. It is not intended as a substitute for the diagnosis, treatment, or advice of a qualified licensed medical professional. The facts presented are offered as informational only, not medical advice. And in no way should anyone infer that we are practicing medicine. Seek the advice of a medical professional for proper application of this material to any specific situation. No statement on this podcast or website has been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. Any product or service mentioned or described in this website is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any dis-ease. We recommend that you do your own independent research before taking any action. You can't treat the body and heal it a piece at a time. You have to treat the whole body naturally. That's why Living Waters Wellness Center 10-day healing retreat is so successful in helping what I call the incurables back to wellness. Here's what a few clients had to say about their experience at Living Waters Wellness Center.
For over a year, I've been dealing with gas pains, stomach pains, and it's been waking me up in the middle of the night, so I never get a full night's rest. And last night, after my first colonics, I slept through the entire night without any stomach pain or any kind of issues.
I suffered from migraine headaches for 12 years, once a month, and since I did the 10-day retreat at Living Waters Wellness Center 8 years ago, I have not even had a migraine. I've not even had a headache.
I had back pain on my left side for about 25 years. After the 10-day healing retreat, the pain is completely gone.
To learn more about the 10-day healing retreat, go to healingtheincurables.com or call the office at 208-378-9911. That's 208-378-9911. The preceding examples may not be typical of your experience and may not be right for you. Seek the opinion of a qualified healthcare professional before determining if cleansing is right for you.